This is the Bells of Steel Dreadmill. The reason that you dread it is because it can do so much. You dread having to figure out what you're gonna do with it. This is really designed as a manual treadmill, but instead of a typical manual treadmill, it's designed with magnetic resistance. That's what these magnetic flywheels are. So you can use it at a walking pace. That's why they have the incline, so it has a little bit of a start to get your gait going. Then you can crank up the resistance. So there's this lever here, crank that down to 10, and then suddenly you can use it like a sled. But wait, there's more. You can also use it with farmer's carries. So you grab these, you get to the back of the Dreadmill, and then you can do farmer's carries. The deck goes up, both for space saving, but also so you can do other stuff. This is essentially a lever arm that has a unique J-cup system. I actually really like this feature. So you can then use these like you would a typical lever arm, which means you can use them for shrugs. You can use them movement that I love on these, which is meadow rows right here. Hit the lats, great stretch. You can also technically use them for bench press and shoulder press, dual arm and single arm. I'll talk about all of that here in a moment, but let's get into it. Hey friends, it's Coop from Garage Gym Reviews, and today I'm reviewing the Dreadmill. As you saw in the intro, this is designed to do quite a few things. Here are some of the things it's designed to do. Incline treadmill walk, farmer's carry, single arm farmer's carry, sled push, decline treadmill walk, shrugs, single arm rows, single arm shoulder press, and wide grip bench. Now I'll go through each of those and what I think about them. But from the start, this is considered a manual treadmill in that there's no motor. So if this is your first time seeing some of our reviews, we do a lot of reviews on treadmills. If you'd like to see even more of them, you can check out Garage Gym Reviews Everything, which has Lindsay. We'll put a link below the like button, which is our other channel. And they do a lot more cardio over there. But we've done a lot of reviews specifically on manual treadmills. One of the reasons I like non-motorized or manual treadmills is the fact that for a garage gym or home gym owner, they just take a lot less maintenance. There's less things to break because there's less electronics and less motors. In fact, some companies that market specifically their treadmills to home gym owners specifically will not warranty the treadmill if it's used even in a garage. I'm looking at you, Nordic Track, which is ridiculous. But that's one of the reasons that non-motorized treadmills are in some ways superior in durability. This video is brought to you by Element. I've been using Element for the past year or so. Element is an electrolyte sugar-free drink mix. Basically, it's salt, flavored salt that you put in your water. It tastes very good. They now have a bubbly version that tastes even better. Basically, it's a great option if you want to drink something other than sugary drinks. You want some benefits from electrolytes. Basically, the way I use Element is at the end of my day or midday when I'm starting to get tired. Basically, this is a good pick-me-up. Once I take this midday, I usually get out of the midday slump and then I'm able to keep working or training. But I've been using Element for over a year. I'm a huge fan and they now sponsor the channel. If you'd like to get your own free sample pack with any Element drink purchase, you can check out the link below the like button. Go through there. It has an exclusive offer for you where you can purchase them. Also, try these. These are very good. Whether you buy them or not is your choice. It's the choice of a new generation. But this is different than typical non-motorized treadmills, and you can tell that because it doesn't have like a curve to it. So instead of having a curve like you see on Trueform or Salt Runner, this is using incline, so it's just using gravity to in some way get the flywheel moving of the magnetic flywheel so you can start going. But this also isn't the first design that uses something like this. In fact, Louis Simmons and Westside Barbell used to have a sled tread of some sort back at their old gym. They may still have it, that they would use for GPP work, but it was flat. There's also another company that I would say this is more the budget version of that not a lot of people I feel like know, even though it's a big company, is Stairmaster. Stairmaster makes the Hitmill X, which is basically a premium commercial version of this. It's been out nearly a decade. It's designed to do farmer's walks with a magnetic resistance profile. I will say just generally, as you would expect, that is a better overall fit and finish and magnetic resistance than this one, but this one is also like a third of the cost or less. So this can do a lot of what that can do at a much cheaper price. Now, to the component that I think this is most situated for, which is sled pushes and walking, I will say walking works really well. If I was just gonna do walks in the garage, I think this would be a nice option. You could use it just fine. But to the resistance component, because this is really marketed as a resistance treadmill and kind of a sled replacement. Even on their website, they say like, you don't have 50 feet worth of turf. Well, you don't need it anymore because you have this. The reality is the resistance sucks. There's hardly any freaking resistance. It's so annoying. But basically at the 1 mark, it goes 1 to 8. It's kind of a weird number too. Like I would have loved like 2 more. But they put these massive football pads, these foam pads up front, and marketed it as a treadmill that's really designed for sled push. And I will just say, and I don't think this is a deal breaker by the way, because there's other things about this that this can do and does well. But if you're just getting it to replace sled pushes, this isn't it. It's just not. It's too light on the resistance profile. That is something that I hope they fix in the future. Honestly, what it most reminds me of is the True Grit runner. Part of that is because they use the exact same handle for the resistance. Rest in peace, True Grit. Actually, rest in death, True Grit. But the handle does allow you to adjust the resistance profile, and it's a very similar one to what True Grit used to use. It's just the resistance is not high enough. So that's my problem with it. I will say it's not high enough going forward. There is resistance. It's just not gonna replace a heavy sled push. But one way that it can resist a sled drag is if you turn around backwards and do sled walks backwards. It actually feels pretty good for that. You have the pads that you can kind of push against in the handles. A lot of you are doing that sort of thing because you're following knees over toes guide training, which is a great way to like bulletproof the knees. Also just increase quad development, a great warm up. I really like doing backward sled drags. This is something that could actually replace that. There's another treadmill out there from Tib Bar Guy, which we're gonna review, that's designed to do something similar. But I will say, just like the resistance on this, it's not heavy enough really, I think, to go forward, but backward sled drags, I think it's pretty good. If you're looking for a treadmill specifically to replace sled drags, the best one that I've used yet is still a prototype or in beta version, and that is Reps with their variable pitch, basically air resistance blades. That one gets very heavy, and it actually works really well for that. So I'm excited to see that one come out, and I hope it feels as heavily resisted as it did when I used it. But in comparison, this thing is it just doesn't have enough resistance. But that's not all it does, because it has the lever arms. So to the lever arms, first, this is marketed kind of like you can do it for farmer's walks. I will say just personally, if I was gonna choose between heavy dumbbells and walking a distance and using this, I would definitely use the dumbbells, and here's why. The setup on this is definitely quicker because you can adjust it. It's actually got these removable J-cups, which is a really cool idea. I actually love some of the parts on this, and that's one of the parts I love. So you can set it up, you just get on the treadmill and go. The problem with a fixed arm with a moving gait is you move your arms when you farmer's walk. Like there's some, like you're not just completely stiff. When you walk, you're moving your arms. When you do farmer's walk, there's some side to side movement. So this forces you to basically be fixed here and then move your body. It just feels kind of weird. It just feels kind of off. Also, because of the location of the lever arm, it forces the handle to come up a little bit high. It's a short lever arm. It just feels weird. Like, I don't know how better to say it. It just feels kind of off. You also have to sit kind of to the back of the treadmill. If you watch any of the B-roll that we're doing, you can kind of see it just looks a little off. I actually looked on their website and Instagram just to see what kind of marketing footage. It looks kind of off when they're doing the walking with the farmer's walk. Just gonna say, from my perspective, I also wouldn't get this specifically to do farmer's walks. Now, you may really like it. There may be people out there that really love it. It's also easy to set up. So if you're just not doing farmer's walks at all, and this gets you to go from not doing farmer's walks at all to doing farmer's walks, this is definitely better than doing no farmer's walks, because farmer's walks are great. But the lever arms don't just do that. You can lift the treadmill deck up with their hydraulics, which is great. I love that this does this because it also saves space, but then increases the usage of the lever arms, because that's really what these are. These are very similar to a fixed point lever arm like you would find on a squat rack, but now it's on a treadmill, which I just want to say, that idea I love. Using a piece of equipment that's really designed for one thing, man, the thing that is the most scarce in a home gym is space. So the more versatility you can pack into that footprint, the better. So I love that they're thinking through these things, and I hope we see more stuff like this. But the way they talk about this is it can be used for a lot of different movements, and some of the movements are just better than others, as you'd expect. So I will say shrugs feels great. Actually, a wide shrug is superior in research, has shown just more muscle activation. If you're doing like a wide shrug, and this is a wide shrug, feels great for that. I actually really like this for shrugs. I wouldn't buy a machine like this just for shrugs, but if this was in my garage gym, this is probably what I would be using for shrugs because it's just so easy to set up. Also, single arm rows, incredible. Like it's very similar to a landmine, but single arm rows, the meadow rows where you're facing to the side, the deep stretch you're able to get, also because the lever arm pulling further away, so it's heavier at the stretch portion, it just feels really good. So I love that movement on it. More of like the dumbbell traditional, like croc row type of row. It's not my favorite on this. The range of motion just feels a little bit weird and the angle of it that it goes, but the side rows I really like. Then you have the shoulder press. So because of where the fixed point is on the lever arm, kneeling shoulder press just feels a little bit like you're pressing like this and the resistance curve falls off because of where the gravity is placed. It's just kind of off. But I will say seated one arm actually feels pretty good. So if you can get low enough where you're seated, you can also use this for floor press. Dual arm floor press and dual arm bench press works, but you gotta be a little bit of a wide boy. You gotta be able, it's just a little bit wide because you're kind of out here. Not quite as wide, I don't think, as what you'd find with the squat rack lever arms, but those have handles that come in further. It would be cool actually to have an adjustable handle on these so you could get a handle, like you could replace it. I don't think they were really thinking through like people would use it for all this stuff when they basically came up with it, but it would be cool because you could increase the versatility of it because things like dual arm bench press, it's just a little bit wider than I'd like, but if you're gonna do it for single arm, it works. So do I recommend it? Well, like most things, it depends on what you're looking for. Do I recommend it for like everybody looking for a treadmill? Definitely not. Like if you're really into really nice, well-made products, it's more of a budget product. So there are some things that I like about it, like the powder coat. It's using like a dragon scale powder coat, similar to what we see from Arsenal that they sell and use at the Dragon's Lair, Flex Lewis's gym in Las Vegas. It's just, ooh, it's really nice. Actually, Torque also uses it. It's more of an outdoor powder coat, but they're using it on the arms. It was actually a nice feature. I didn't see marketed a lot, but it is very nice. I would actually love a squat rack with that on it. But overall, the fit and finish, it's just okay. It's within line for the price point, which is what you'd expect. It's not a cheap unit, but it's also not a crazy expensive unit when you compare them to other treadmills that are out there. $2,200 for a manual treadmill when you compare it to a Trueform or something like that. It's more on the budget end and it can also do the other stuff. I would really recommend this for somebody that wants to do some walking, wants to do some reverse sled drags, and may use some of the lever arm components. If you're thinking of buying this specifically because of the sled drag, don't do it. Like just my opinion, not gonna make it for that part. It just doesn't, it's just not heavy enough. So what would make this worth it and me recommending this for a wide population or me using this in the garage gym? Heavier resistance. Seriously, if this bad boy had heavier resistance, it'd be really nice. Belt of Steel, if you're watching this, I don't even know if you're capable to increase the resistance on a magnetic resistance that high in the current design, but if you can, it would really make this a lot better of a sled drag treadmill. And then if you're gonna use it for the farmer's walk, again, I already mentioned this, but it's not my favorite either. But if you're gonna do some of those other movements with it, I think it could work. Okay, this is my honest take. Is there anything that you feel like I missed or something that I should compare it to that you'd like to see another review on? Let me know in the comments. I am gonna be doing a review on the Sled tread from Tib Bar Guy, which again is another really cool option where they're basically taking a treadmill and not just using it for walking or running, they're using it for all sorts of strength training and calisthenics and all sorts of stuff. Love that idea. So if you'd like to see that, make sure you subscribe. But this has been Coop from Garage Gym Reviews. I'll see you next time. Peace.